So the Gotham Knights trailer was dropped today with DC Fandom. Also, part one of DC Fandom was also today. And there is a lot to discuss regarding the gameplay footage in the trailer. Now, it starts off, the trailer does, with Batman leaving a message to the Bat family that he is dead. And from what I can tell from Jason Todd and Nightwing, that this probably, I don't understand the timeline, if it's with the Arkham games. I think it's with the Arkham games, if it's with Batman being dead and Batman blew himself up with the Nightfall protocol at the end of Arkham Knight. And one thing I did notice is that Jason Todd doesn't have the same scar on his left cheek. He has looks like a knife blade scar instead of a Joker branding J on his left cheek that was in Arkham Knight. Now, they could have just done a completely different character redesign. I've seen games do that with sequel games in their own, which is fine. And another thing I noticed is that Gordon is dead and the GCPD doesn't trust the Bat family anymore, which I can understand because Gordon was kind of the glue that kept the GCPD and the Bat family from going at each other, from the cops hating vigilantes. And another thing I noticed is that I'm pretty sure the Robin in this game is Damian Wayne and not Tim Drake, because he looks smaller than Tim Drake, and he looks a lot younger than the Tim Drake did in Arkham Knight. And Tim Drake also had a shaved head, but Tim Drake was also the main Robin at the time of Arkham Knight, so he could possibly still be going through some trauma, or just maybe he hung up the cow and he's just not back in the game right now. Or it's possible that you can tell that none of these characters have taken up the mantle of Batman. So maybe Tim Drake is the one that they all nominated to take up the mantle of Batman. Or maybe Azrael did it like he was preparing to in Arkham Knight. Which I wouldn't say it's bad, but if he did do it like he did in the comics and it was taken back after saying Batman was still alive, it would make a lot of sense. And I wouldn't say that any of the Bat family that's in this game right now trusts Azrael, because they don't really know him like Bruce did. Now, Alfred's still alive, and at the end of Arkham Knight, Alfred was also in the manor. So, Alfred's alive, which could think that Bruce is alive, and that he is either doing a Dark Knight Returns type of storyline, the developers are with this game, or he just left, or he's in the Court of Owl maze. Because they're, from what I can tell, is kind of the main mystery of the game. But one thing the developers said at DC Fandom is that the Court of Owls is not the biggest mystery of the game, which could lead to Batman being alive of him being the biggest mystery, which I think is fine. Another thing I noticed from the gameplay footage is that you can customize and grind out your characters to level up, which can mean that you have to put work in with each character to level them up and get their own gear and get new abilities like an ability tree. But that is completely fine. That seems like a lot of fun, and I can't wait for this game to come out in 2021. Now, this game footage that's here it's in alpha, which means that the game looks really good to be in alpha, so they're probably really close to finishing it. That's why it's coming out in 2021 and not 2022. Like when most game developers, they would release a trailer or a clip of the game 2 years before the game came out, like they did with Insomniac's Spider-Man. But I'd also realized that Batwoman, Tim Drake, and Bruce Wayne, Azrael, and Catwoman are not really mentioned much throughout this trailer or the gameplay footage, so they could be DLC characters or have their own DLC pack, or they might just not be in the game yet, and they could add them on with the actual game coming out, which is fine because I love all those characters. And in the gameplay footage, it shows that Batwoman and Robin are in the portion of the game which is Mr. Freeze's portion, which would mean that there's like in Arkham Knight, all Batman's villains were out and among Gotham. So there's same things probably happening now because they did get arrested by the GCPD, but the city looked awful. Not like the graphics looked awful, but the city looked like it was in some pretty bad conditions with all the villains being out, especially Mr. Freeze. So there's probably a lot of villains to go by and you're taking down within the game, which is fine because I would really like a really long game, especially since they've been working on it since 2015. I would assume since that's when Arkham Knight came out. They've been working on this game for like 5 years, and it's coming out next year. I don't know when next year, which is kind of crappy because I would love it for the game to come out now, but I don't want the game to come out until it's officially done because I want the game to be good. And something else I could tell is that the Justice League satellites are being used for Robin and I think Red Hood's, possibly Nightwing and Batgirl, possibly everyone's abilities to teleport around, but I only saw Robin and Red Hood using it in the trailer and gameplay footage. So if the Justice League's in here, it probably means that the new Suicide Squad game coming out is also in this continuity and timeline. So the Justice League is in this continuity and timeline, which would make sense for it being a Bat Family game, and it's not a Batman game. There's plenty of Batman games that's come out in the past years, like five Batman games: Asylum, Blackgate, City, Night and Orange. Yeah, 5 Batman games, and I'm pretty sure this wouldn't even be the last Batman game to come out. So I think that this game is looking really good, and that it's going to be a lot of fun for the community and everyone to enjoy, which is it's pretty good. You know, I'm really liking the way it's looking, especially with Damian Wayne. I'm assuming it's Damian being in the game, which he is my favorite Robin. I know he's not a lot of people's favorites, but he is mine. So having all these characters in the game, especially Red Hood being in it and not the Arkham Knight like he was in Arkham Knight, spoilers. Gameplay progression in this game is going to take a huge role. From what I was told, if you fight a boss like Mr. Freeze, like they're about to do in the gameplay here at level 5 versus level 15, it can be completely different. So you can choose a character between the 4 that fits to your playstyle. And it is online multiplayer co-op, which I think that it would probably be a 4-player game, since there's 4 players for 4 characters to choose from, or just 2, like there's only 2 people here. So you can really just choose what character you want to play as and have your own session or server started up with just you and your friend. And the gameplay, I would say, is very different from the past Arkham games, considering every character had the same moveset, just with different tools. But everyone in this game has their different moveset. And I would say they would have, from looking at this Robin right here, he is completely different looking from the Robin that you saw in the gameplay trailer. So you probably have the option to customize your gear and cosmetics, and probably upgrade your gear and cosmetics. And you'll probably have the option to upgrade your abilities. So certain abilities, like maybe Robin's staff and strength ability, would be different from like his stealth and being undetected ability, because you can tell from the trailer and the gameplay footage from Batgirl, she has 2 different cows on and 2 different symbols. So you can probably choose from like better gear to lower gear and different cosmetics between what you want for your certain character that you're going to play as. You can play this game in single player or co-op, and there are different stories that go on throughout this game. Like I said earlier, with the Mr. Freeze, there might be another story with maybe Two-Face or Penguin or Killer Croc, or maybe some like Nightwing villains or Batgirls with the Birds of Prey villains. And I would say that the Joker probably wouldn't be in this. If it is, it's probably 90% sure that this is in the Arkham continuity. So Joker is dead in the Arkham continuity. But like in the Batman Beyond comics, they brought the Joker back. So, I mean, they can do what they want with this game compared to their other games. So, it's really whatever they want to do to their game, they can do to their game. So, I think that's all we know so far about the game and its gameplay. And it's still possible that whatever character you choose to play as can have their own storylines, but I think that would be doubtful, considering that would just put more work into the game, but it'll also be more fun. But I don't think they're going to do that. But that's about all we know. And this game looks like it's going to be a lot of fun to play, especially if you have friends that also enjoy the Batman games that you could play with. So I think that's about it, that we know so far. And it's not like past Batman games. It's not a Batman game, so don't be hating on it. And don't be hating on how it looks now, especially since it's an alpha. My other videos will pop up on the screen, as well as my channel. So if you would do me the favor of subscribing, that would be great. So go look at my other videos, and I'll be talking more about Gotham Knights in the future. Everyone stay safe. This has been Kodark, and I'll see you in the next one.